Mondays with Meghan. Meghan McCain joins us now on KTAR. Hello, Meghan.
Bueno.
Hello, thank you for having me.
So let's talk about the approval numbers. I think this is the big political story.
Yeah.
ABC News, Washington Post,
Fake news.
Ipsos poll. President on Tuesday, it'll be 100 days in office. The poll says this: 39% approve of how Trump is handling his job as president. Meghan, is that fair?
I mean, if you look in the details of the polling, a lot of the anxiety is coming from the economy and the tariffs, which is something we all spoke about, a month ago, about how I will not, and I will never understand the messaging that Americans should be in a lot of pain for an indeterminate amount of time and pay an indeterminate amount of money. I was told iPhones could cost as much as $3,000 if the tariffs go into place, and that we're going to have to go through nebulous amounts of pain in order to get the, quote, economy back on track. I've never understood that. I thought when Judge Jeanine were going on Fox News and saying, I don't care about my 401k, I won't even look at it. Well, a lot of retired people depend on their lives with their 401ks. So I've never understood it. I always thought this was ridiculous, and I have been lectured to from Mount Everest and beyond by MAGA people saying he's a genius. We have to trust him. But I'm not a just blind trust person. And it turns out, the majority of the American public is not as well.
Yeah, I'm not a blind trust person either. I didn't trust Biden. I don't trust Trump. It's a 39% approval rating. It's the worst in 80 years.
We had to Google who was president 80 years ago. I have the foggiest
idea. Who was it? I don't even know.
How about this? It was FDR and Truman 80 years ago. So I don't even know who got screwed in that deal.
Let me throw in another president. Meghan McCain is joining us. One of the problems I have, obviously with the tariffs as well, but it's with the stock market. Okay?
Yeah.
Trump's stock market, first 100 days. I'll throw in another president. Worse since Nixon. It's the worst since President Nixon.
What about all the good things Nixon did? We don't talk about that enough. I made Meghan laugh. Come on.
Well, I mean, my mom, for whatever it's worth, has this whole theory that Nixon did a lot of good things before Watergate.
See?
So, talk to her about it.
Okay. I saw you were with her this weekend, too.
Not the stock market.
No, not the stock market.
So when does the president look and say, nobody likes what I'm doing, 39%. Oh, I see that the stock market is way, way, way down. Thousands of points on the Dow. When do I switch?
Trillions of dollars of value.
When do I make a turn here?
Look, the economic anxiety in this country is very legitimate. I myself, and, my husband and I are gainfully employed and very lucky, but I'm looking at what's going on right now, and I'm like, we're going to have to really start, saving for my kids' college in an entirely different way because there's so many question marks about what things are going to cost. So imagine if you're making minimum wage or below, what that's like for someone. And the whole problem was we've already had the problem with messaging is we need to continue to have more pain. Well, we already did under Biden. Inflation got completely out of control. Interest rates are a mess. I don't want to continue doing this. And you promised on day one it would be solved. And now 100 days in, not only is it not solved, but like you said, the stock market is a mess. And now we're being told that, normal products could possibly cost a lot more. I also am the first person to say, I don't completely understand the tariff war. I know that we're trying to get, jobs back into America. But anyone who, I listened to this episode of The Daily of this woman who has an American company, and she was basically saying there's no planet in any universe where she can bring her factories here in the United States, that she cannot afford it.
Yeah, Meghan, do you want your kids? Do you want your kids to go work in the Nike factory sewing shoes together for $4 a week?
I do not, and and I just think a lot of this is really arrogant and really. I think it's always really important for people who go on TV to talk about politics to keep reality and real people in their lives and really go into places where people are struggling. And I think there's a lot of people in the White House that clearly don't understand that it's 30% of the American public are living paycheck to paycheck, and 70% have less than $5,000 in their savings. They can't afford this pain and this question mark of how long. And your 401ks are going to deplete. I mean, I am not surprised at this polling. A lot of Republicans are saying it's fake news and it's garbage. And my answer to that is name one person in politics running any campaign who doesn't live and die by polls. You cannot find it.
So let's assume that, and again, these are the polls they've been doing for 80 years. It's the same poll, by the way. It goes up, it goes down. The 39% that think this is the most bigly ever, what is it they like specifically?
I think there's a lot of people in the country that will follow President Trump anywhere he goes, and that's fine if that's your choice. And then I honestly think there's a lot of people in the country that economically can afford to lose some and are like, I'd rather just like wait long term. Like a lot of the people that are lecturing me on this, like one of the guys from Shark Tank is worth $400 million and he's 72 years old. Like, sorry, bro, if it's going to be a different experience for you than it is everybody else. It's just,
I know that guy.
Talking about it. You know what? I forgot his name, the bald man.
Yeah, the bald one. Yeah. Kevin.
Yeah.
Mr. Wonderful. Yeah.
Mr. Wonderful. Yes. Thank you.
You know, Megan, Bruce, that's a great question because I was trying to figure out what does the MAGA universe love about his first 100 days? And so what I've come up with is certainly the border. The border's fantastic. Yeah. Good job, Mr. President. That is not an issue right now. But I think it's the culture war stuff. Like, you know, biological men can't play in women's sports. Okay, good.
That's affecting a lot of folks.
Which is my point, Bruce.
Oh, okay.
Which is actually my point. Listen, I don't think biological men should be playing in women's sports, okay? But it doesn't affect me.
No.
Okay, no transgenders in military. Okay, that doesn't affect me. He's bringing Columbus Day back. It doesn't affect...
Well, he's not bringing Columbus Day back. He's getting rid of Indigenous Peoples Day.
But you know what I'm saying? The culture war issue is what MAGA voters, part of what they voted for, and they're getting that. But I don't see it affecting anything at the grocery store or the stock market or anything like that.
Yeah, and if you look in that poll, the good news for Trump is that Democrats are still less popular than Republicans are, and that people have a lot less faith in Democrats leading them into the future than they do President Trump. And he's extremely popular, like you said, on the border. So there are like shreds of positivity and light in it, and I totally agree with what you're saying. I think it's easy to downplay culture war issues, but when you put like the amalgamation of all these things that have happened the past 6 years. I mean, Bruce, I know we probably don't see the same thing about this, but I remember I got invited to go to the Easter egg roll this year at the White House, and I didn't go. And I remember the Easter egg roll a few years ago. There was a trans person, ripping their clothes off and showing their private parts on the White House lawn. Just Google it.
Yeah, I believe you.
It
was
too
terrible.
much and it's too extreme. Yeah, and the White House did apologize. Like it was, whatever. But like.
By the way, I went to the Easter egg roll when I was like 8 years old. I was there. I think I meant more than 1 year.
I have not gone, and I
missed
have not
out.
gone.
As a little MAGA kid, I was all over that thing.
Hey, Megan, you were talking about the Democrats. 60% have an unfavorable view of the Democratic Party. The majority of Americans believe neither party fights for them. So if you're a Democrat out there, this oligarchy tour that is happening, is that really effective when AOC and Bernie Sanders, I mean, is oligarchy the right word to put on a bumper sticker for this thing? Because the people are showing up. I have a hard time thinking that is really effective if you're a Democrat.
Well, I also think that they were just caught flying on a $15 million private jet for their oligarchy tour.
Who amongst us?
Google it.
Who amongst us does it?
Yeah.
When your message is like fight the billionaires, like you got to think about optics of things like that. I think AOC is an extremely powerful figure and extremely influential in a lot of different ways. I do not think she's senatorial material. I don't think she's presidential material. I think there's a cap on her popularity and a cap on who is going to go to her, because I just don't think socialism is ever going to be popular with the vast majority of Americans, particularly the Americans who have families who fled communism and socialism to come here for a different reason. But if you look at people like J.B. Pritzker and Wes Moore, those are the figures I would look to more right now. And Governor Pritzker was, had a speech that's all over the internet talking about how we have to fight and we have to take, Republicans out at the neck the way they're doing to us. And I think there are some figures coming. I still think that Bernie Sanders and AOC are going to remain the progressive figures that are nowhere near the majority of the party. I think the majority of Americans are center left and center right. And the majority of Democrats are classic Democrats in like the vein of the Clintonian style, much more than the, we hate anyone who makes over $100,000 a year style.
We're talking to Meghan McCain. Mondays with Meghan here. We do it every single Monday. I agree with you in the sense of I don't see AOC having a vastly different constituency than Bernie Sanders has, and we know what the ceiling is for that.
Yeah.
It's the same people, right?
Yeah, and also it's always easy to be popular like that when you don't have to run in real elections. when you don't, she's never actually had to win over a Republican or an independent to get elected. She's in an extremely
Another
blue
safe
district.
seat. Yeah.
So again, I'm more impressed by people who are on either side that can win over the, the opposing parties. And I would never dismiss her. I really don't. It's not like I sit here and I joke about her the way some people do, but I just think there's a cap on her popularity. And I think she's still very green in a lot of ways. And she's never actually accomplished anything. She hasn't passed any bills. She's really good at getting social media attention. She's beautiful. Like, there's lots of things that can be helpful, but I do not see her as any kind of real powerful figurehead going forward.
All right. Mondays with Meghan. Meghan, great to talk to you.
Excellent.
We will chat
Thank you.
in about a week. Take care.
Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.
Meghan McCain, the daughter of the late, great Senator John McCain, joins us every Monday. Mondays with Meghan.
Thanks for watching Outspoken with Bruce and Gaydos. Tap to watch more from KTAR News and click the button in the middle to subscribe.